9/11 itself, Iran's reaction to the news was very different.
Oh my God, that just exploded.
That looks like a second plane has just...
I think for the first couple of hours, everyone was in a state of shock, not knowing what was going on.
More importantly, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, also spoke out against the attacks.
دست جمعی در هیروشیما و ناکازاکی باشه، در بوسنی و کوزوو باشه، یا در نیویورک و واشنگتن باشه.
And that week at Friday prayers, the ritual Death to America chants were dropped for the first time since the revolution.
For Iran's leaders, it's important to have enemies. The reformists made great attempts to ban slogans that insulted the American people.
Abtahi and the president, Mohammad Khatami, were leaders of Iran's reform movement, hoping to improve ties with America.
Suspending the Death to America
discussions with her right after 9/11, we made it very clear that although we would be kinetically involved in Afghanistan, that we bore no ill will to Iran, and the Iranians accepted this. So initially, things were on an even keel.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
The U.S. accepted Iran's help in Afghanistan. Sunni extremists like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban were also enemies of Iran's Shia regime.
We shared a general view that stability in Afghanistan would very much benefit everybody. But the Iranians were not unhelpful, mostly by staying out of the way.
Iran encouraged its allies, the Northern Alliance, to fight alongside U.S. special forces. Within weeks, the Taliban collapsed.
This was Iran's first major effort to help the United States, to topple the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. This would have been impossible without Iran's help.
In fact, Hamid Karzai took charge in Kabul only after Iran had broken an impasse with the Northern Alliance.
We've been negotiating with them, for all these months, and it culminates with the Iranians basically telling the people that they had a relationship with to get out of the way for the the pro-American Afghans to stand up and take control. The Iranians thought legitimately that they had done a tremendous amount to help us and to help Afghanistan.
There was another side to U.S.-Iran relations. Their cooperation on Afghanistan was good, but I think it was, in my own view, it was somewhat lacking in other areas.
U.S. officials believed senior al-Qaeda operatives, including bin Laden's son, had crossed the Afghan border into Iran and found safe haven in Tehran under the protection of hardliners in the regime.
The fact is that the government authorities knew where they were. There's no question about that.
And you were asking what?
Turn them over. We'd like them. We wanted to get them. We wanted to question them.
And the response was?
There was no cooperation. There was a variety of responses, as I recall, from we don't have them to we don't know where they are.
To sponsor terror from threatening America or our friends and allies with weapons of mass destruction. Iran aggressively pursues these weapons and exports terror, while an unelected few repress the Iranian people's hope for freedom. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
Iran's response was immediate, and President Khatami was thrown on the defensive. The reformists felt undermined by Washington at a crucial time.
The very least expectation we had at the height of our struggles for real reform was not to be branded like this. Politically, it was an odd thing to do. We helped overthrow the Taliban. Instead of opening a path for even greater cooperation, they turned to this slogan, the axis of evil. That was Mr. Bush's biggest strategic and political blunder.